Welcome to the Honest Healing Podcast, real talk for cycle breakers. I'm your host, Katie Delamon. If you're ready to speak up, set boundaries, heal your nervous system, and build better relationships, you're in the right place. Because you don't need to be perfect to heal. You just need to be honest. Let's go. Welcome to episode 23 of the Honest Healing Podcast. I married someone after only 3 months. 10 lessons I learned 10 years later. So welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I am going a little bit more personal, not polished, not performative, just honest. If you don't know my story yet, you can read my memoir, Trust the Flames. You can buy it anywhere they sell books. But my story is I married my husband after only knowing him for 3 months. But here's the part that you may not have realized after reading that book. I physically was only with him, or we were only with each other for 1 week on the same continent. So we met in America, but I was with my ex, who was actually his friend, and I was with this other guy when we met, but we got to know each other like who we were. But we were complete strangers before that. And then he went back to Australia. I was in LA. We started talking, and I guess you would say dating. He came to America for 1 whole week. That was it. That was the only time we even hooked up, kissed, did anything. He went back to Australia. He flew back on Christmas Day, and we got married on December 27th, 2015. 10 years ago, we eloped in Vegas after only knowing each other and seeing each other and being with each other for that long. And at first I was kind of like, well, who am I to talk about relationships and marriages and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've been in a marriage for 10 years and it was not the perfect scenario and we are not perfect people. I have a lot to say on this and I have a lot of experience, and I want to be very clear about this podcast episode. This isn't about forever love or proving anything. It's about the possibility of having faith and the belief in yourself that you can have an emotionally mature, nervous system safe, and conscious relationship, even though you may have not been modeled that when you were younger, or maybe you're not in that right now. It is still possible, and I am living, breathing proof of this. I was not modeled the perfect marriage growing up. I don't think many people, if anybody, was. Now, longevity doesn't equal health, and I'm going to go into that in a moment. But I do want to ask you this one question. How would it make you feel? Now, I got this from Instagram from, I forget her name, some psychologist. She said, how would it make you feel if someone said, I can tell how much you love yourself by the partner you have chosen? This is not to pass judgment on anybody, but does that feel like a compliment or an insult? Because the way you feel about that question can offer a lot of insight. That question again is, how would it make you feel if someone said, I can tell how much you love yourself by the partner you have chosen? So maybe you're thinking, well, I kind of have tolerated treatment that really doesn't feel good and isn't really loving, and it's not what someone would put up with if they really love themselves. Or are you thinking, I've chosen a really patient, awesome, incredible person. I feel so proud. That's going to offer you some insight on not only your relationship, but really how you feel about yourself, how much you do love yourself, right? So another reason why I am so passionate about this subject on marriage is because I am someone who never wanted kids and never wanted to get married. You could have asked me at any age when I was little, say I was 15, 18, 21, whatever. I genuinely believe that people who said they were happy in long-term committed relationships were bullshitting. I thought they were pretending. I thought they were performing stability because I personally wasn't modeled emotionally intimacy and I didn't see anyone around me growing together emotionally. I'm a child born out of infidelity, and I was kept a secret from my own father my entire life. I didn't find this out until I was 38. My mom kept it a secret. She had multiple affairs. That was never a secret. But I was a child born out of infidelity, and I've never wanted kids and I never wanted to get married. And I'm now starting to look a little bit further into my own beliefs and wiring. Like, why did I feel that way growing up? I would say it's because I was a child born out of infidelity, but also because, again, I wasn't modeled it and I didn't think it was possible until I started doing my own inner work. And what I call, I built my own inner confidence, knowing that I can create whatever I want, regardless of what has happened in the past. So, why do so many people struggle in relationships? Personally, I think it's because they aren't intimate with themselves first, and they're letting all these old limiting beliefs run the show. They say someone can only meet you as deeply as you've met yourself. And honestly, so many people have not met themselves very intimately. I hear so many women saying, I want more vulnerability, more emotional connection, yet they aren't practicing it themselves. Because if they actually were, they wouldn't be staying in a relationship that they weren't getting their needs met, period. Because when you truly love yourself, you ask for your needs and you leave relationships where your needs aren't met. That doesn't mean you ask for something and when you don't get it, you just leave. This is about being intimate, about being vulnerable, about being mature. It's about knowing what you want, asking for it, and then if it is not possible in that relationship, then the relationship isn't going to go anywhere because if you can't meet each other's needs, it doesn't matter if you're romantic or not. Like meeting needs is what a relationship is. Anyways, this isn't what the podcast is about. Now, I had never had a relationship longer than a year. My partner never had a relationship longer than 3 years. I never lived with a partner, and we didn't even live together before we moved in with each other. I moved to another continent to be with him. It could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. Not because we are special people with special circumstances or we're taking any kind of special drugs. It's what I call building inner self confidence. And so, what is this inner self confidence that I'm going to be talking about? It means that you are intentional with everything you do and you align your time, your energy to your values. My number one value in a romantic relationship is emotional intimacy. And I said this from day dot with Kenny, my partner. And for those of you who don't know what emotional intimacy is, no, it's not just about having a sexual chemistry. And it's not about having a perfect relationship. Like my relationship is not just rainbows and puppies all the time. But what it does mean is that it's honest, it's real, it's raw. We repair. We are emotionally present. My nervous system feels safe. And yes, I can say with 100%, we are emotionally intimate because I am extremely intentional. And also, I take personal responsibility for how I show up. And I joke around all the time saying, I'm not the most perfect partner because I can cook great meals, because I love organization and bookkeeping, because I book us amazing holidays, because I'm fun and I'm reliable and I'm flexible in the mind. I'm an amazing partner because I take responsibility for how I show up 100% of the time, especially when that's not my best self, when I'm shut down, when I'm rude, when I'm a bitch, when I'm judgmental, when I don't speak nicely. I take responsibility, and that honestly is the sexiest quality anybody can have. I'm an amazing partner because I ask for my needs to get met. I don't just expect him to be a mind reader. I am clear about what I want, what's not okay for me, what doesn't make me feel safe, and I've got great boundaries. When I say I'm going to do something, I stick to it. And so that to me is what I pride myself on in being in a relationship. I don't pride myself on being so kind and so patient. And yeah, sure, that comes along with it. But I pride myself on being clear, on having good boundaries, and for not staying in spaces that keep me small. So, what are 10 lessons that I've learned in 10 years? Number one, inner self confidence changes everything. So, jumping into love after only being with somebody for a week might seem immature, unstable, reckless, or like a trauma response, but that's when you don't trust yourself and you don't align your life to your values. Am I more emotionally mature and grounded at 39 today than I was 29, 10 years ago? Fuck yeah. But I built inner confidence even 10 years ago, which means I was so okay with myself that no matter what happened, I knew that I was always going to be okay. And I made decisions from my heart, not just my head. I integrated my whole body so that I moved from love, not fear. Because self trust makes commitment conscious. Number two, love isn't found, it's practice. I'm going to go back to this one over and over again because this is everything. Every single day, it's how you listen, how you repair, how you show up, how you choose again. You do not find a great relationship, you create one. It's how present you are, how you speak to one another, how much fun you have, how much you play and laugh. And sure, love isn't just your wedding day or the day you have kids or the day your kids start walking or go to school. It's how present you are with one another when you're brushing your teeth or on a random Tuesday. Do you look each other in the eyes with every convo? Are you distracted with work, phone, friends, news, kids, where you keep forgetting to get to know one another and you just assume that you know each other year after year? Like date nights statistically are proven to work for a reason. And you don't have to spend a ton of money to have a date night, to get to know one another and to be present and to just genuinely enjoy each other's company consistently. And I know this because I've lived it, I've breathed it. And that takes me to number three. This is actually my husband's answer. So when I asked him, "Hey babe, like what do you think something you've learned in 10 years?" And he said, "To just breathe." And honestly, it is life-saving and it is what I teach my clients as well. Before reacting, before defending, before running, before shutting down, we regulate before the reaction. We breathe 1 to 3 slow, deep breaths. Then everything follows from there. In mindfulness, we can use the STOP method: stop, take a few breaths, observe, proceed. There is never a time where that is not going to be helpful. So just breathe. All right, number four. This is another big one I come back to, and it's kind of associated with number two: bids for connection. This is from the Gottmans, who are an amazing relationship experts. It's not about time. And if my relationship shows you anything, it shows you that it's not about time. It's about your bids for connection. It is about that connection, the small moments. I don't care if you are with somebody for a week or a year. It is about how present you are with one another, how much you turn towards each other. So, bids for connection are the amount of times that you turn towards each other instead of away. This is how true intimacy is built. And again, this is not about bragging. I want to just give you a little example on how many bids for connection me and Kenny do continuously every single day that we are alive. And I'm not kidding here. Like, this is what we do in any given day. We are in constant communication and connection, not in a codependent or an anxiously attached kind of way, but in a way of like, I just really love you and love spending time with you and being with you. So any given day, we kiss each other a ton of times. It's not put on, it's not fake, and it's certainly not forced. Sometimes it could be automatic, but we genuinely, it's not just a peck and then look away and we get distracted. We genuinely kiss each other on the lips or the cheek, but whenever somebody comes in the house, so whether it's him or me, and sometimes he comes in late at night, well, late at night, he probably comes in at like 8 p.m., but I'm in bed by pretty much 8 or 8:30. If he comes in, he will always kiss me. Anytime I come in, I will always kiss him. Right before we go to bed, we kiss. Right before we have a meal, we kiss. Every time we wake up, every time somebody leaves the house, we are always giving each other those little connection. We hug each other every day. Sometimes like we cuddle on the couch almost every single day. Constantly doing these little things. We're texting each other every day. We call each other almost every day, even though I see him, I like sometimes work in his building. Like, we are constantly in connection, not in a forced kind of way, because we genuinely enjoy each other's company. Now, number five, conflict isn't the problem, avoidance is. Now, this is probably the one I've had the hardest time with because Nobody likes conflict. It's not fun. It's not easy. It's not like a walk in the park, but it is where you grow. And what I was taught my whole life was to avoid. And I got really good at it until I started to do the inner work. And I said, oh, okay, so this is how we actually heal and become more emotionally mature adults. We don't avoid, we actually have to confront. And it's not confrontation, it's carefrontation. You care so much about that relationship that if you don't talk about this or go through it together, it's going to get worse. Healthy relationships don't avoid discomfort, they lean into it. And that doesn't mean you have the perfect reactions from each other. This is another big thing I think people get confused about. Well, if there's conflict and we don't repair in the most perfect way, then it's bad. No, like we're all human, we're all learning, we're all growing. It is about that repair and how you come back, how you talk about it. I do have an episode about connection after conflict, which could be helpful to listen to. But just remember that silence erodes safety way faster than disagreements ever will. I know so many couples who just keep avoiding having conversations and then wonder why the relationship is not great. It's avoidance. Number six, it's not about how good your relationship looks. And again, a lot of these kind of like go in with each other. So the most difficult seasons me and my husband have, and I'll talk about a few, have built depth and intimacy, connection, vulnerability. Writing my book was one of the most therapeutic things I did in my relationship. It brought me so much closer to Kenny. I like was going through so many things and having him witness me in my most scared, vulnerable, overwhelmed, anxious states and have him just love me was one of the most healing things I've ever had done for me. Um, 2 weeks before we got married, I kissed someone. I technically cheated on Kenny. And even though that happened 10 years ago and I can talk about it super lightly, I can tell you now that in the moment, it was not okay. It was a big deal. My nervous system was overwhelmed. I thought we were going to break up. It was not okay because it was also the second time that it happened. And yes, me and Kenny had only been together for 3 months, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a big deal. I literally had to look at myself and said, "Oh my God, Katie, is this going to keep happening? Like, am I really going to be this person like my mom and just treat somebody who loves me with disregard because I'm not respecting my own self?" That is when I got super serious about my own sobriety. And I talk about it lightly in my book, and maybe I'll go into an episode, but that was when I really turned my relationship with alcohol around, was when I did that because I was wasted. I was drunk and I made out with somebody because that's what I used to do all the time. So, but when it happened a week before I was getting married, like that's a big freaking deal. So, that happened. We were secretly dating and got secretly married because I was an ex to one of his friends. Like that was a pretty risque scenario. And then I moved all the way over to Australia after only knowing this guy for 8 or 9 months, had only been with him for a few weeks physically. And I had never lived with anybody, and we're now going to live in the same house with each other. I wasn't allowed to have a job with my visa. My visa cost $13,000, people. Okay. I had to put $7,000 on my credit card as soon as I landed for that visa. Okay. These things were not easy to do, but they're easy when you have shared values, you have intimacy, you have connection, you have communication, and you are constantly in contact and know that this is what you both want. We moved 5 times in 5 years. We both have been well, when we first met, we were both in massive financial debt. I think he was like 100K. I was like 30K in debt. We have lost in savings and investments, probably well over $500,000. He had a stroke and almost died. We have had significant ruptures in our marriages and shaky points where I didn't think that we were going to make it. And I'm not going to go into detail, but it is not about the good times. You can have a good relationship with anybody. I can have a fun time with so many people, but it is not about the good times. I hear so many people, oh, but we just have the best time together. Yeah, so what? I get to have the best time with a lot of people. That doesn't make us good partners, good life partners. So it is not about how good your relationship looks or how fun the good times are, which, yes, that does matter, but it is really about those moments of challenge. How are you going to come together and work together as a team? Are you going to abandon one another? Because that's not a team. All right. I got a little passionate there. Lesson 7, the goal isn't perfection, it's regulation. Now, a lot of these are, like I said, very similar to one another. But this goes back to all the ones I was just talking about, that chaos doesn't end relationships. It's your inability to regulate and to come back. Regulation isn't about being calm and perfect all the time. It's about, okay, we've got stress. We reacted in a way we might not be proud of. There's some chaos going on. There's some this, but can we come back to that regulated state and still love and grow? Number 8, you don't need to agree on everything. So I know I still sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, are we growing at the same rates? Is it, it's like we get into these social media scroll holes and we think that we have to agree on everything and that if we trauma bond that it's a bad thing and oh my God, if we get disrespected that we have to just like get a divorce. And it's like, no, it's okay to not agree on everything. It's okay if somebody, does disrespect someone out of their own stress response. I'm not saying it's okay to just keep allowing poor behavior, but when that happens, do you put a boundary in place to stay safe? You don't need to agree on everything, but respect. And so if you get disrespected, it is on you to put a boundary and then for you to follow through with that boundary. And another thing is if you've trauma bonded at the beginning, like I know me and Kenny for sure probably trauma bonded. That's why we had such a deep connection. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you can, again, emotionally mature and grow through it and talk about, like, yeah, like, look at how we trauma bonded. But you can still have a deep and meaningful connection. It's about that growth and it's about talking about it. It's about safety over sameness. You don't have to agree on everything. You don't have to grow at the same rate, but you do have to feel safe with one another. That is going to be huge in any relationship, not just romantic. Number 9, you can be deeply in love without being anxiously attached. I always say I am more in love with Kenny and way less attached. So when he had his stroke, that was a really big thing for me to really come to terms with, losing him one day, not having the relationship. And, not that I wouldn't be sad, I wouldn't have grief, but it's not going to end my life or my own growth or my own thrivingness in life and potential. And so many people really confuse deep love with codependency, and they literally can't see themselves outside of that relationship. They feel like their world would fall apart, that, all these catastrophizing scenarios would happen. Just because you're not attached to somebody or the way it's going to turn out doesn't mean you don't love them. Connection doesn't require self-abandonment. Love should always expand you, not consume you. And number 10, death is the greatest teacher of love. I am so grateful that Kenny had a stroke. I actually was passing by the building the other day, and there was the building where he had the stroke, and there was an ambulance outside of it. And I sent him a photo and I said, oh, a little deja vu. And he said, yeah, I'm sorry. And he gave me a sad face. And I was like, don't be sorry. Like, I am so grateful you had that stroke because it brought us so much closer together. Like, that smell of impermanence keeps our love so alive. Every single day when one of us, I walk out the door, he walks out the door, I think this could be the last day. And not that I'm trying to manifest that or live in fear. I get so like like I get grateful, I get really happy, and then I make sure that I'm being more present and I show up from a way different space because nothing is guaranteed. And that's why love stays alive because of this knowingness of impermanence. And that presence is your real vow. And another reason why I'm so grateful Kenny had a stroke is because that's the whole reason why we got Shark, our dog. So, anyways, those are my 10 lessons. A lot of them are kind of the same, but I hope that, brings you some light today. And I want to go back to this idea that longevity does not equal health. I want to say this clearly. A long marriage doesn't mean it wasn't loving. Just because you've been with someone a long time doesn't mean you should stay. So many couples stay out of fear, conditioning, convenience, or codependence and not connection. Can we please stop glorifying endurance over emotional maturity? When somebody's tells me, "Oh my God, I've been married for 30 years," I'm not automatically like, "Oh my God, wow, that's amazing. Tell me how you did it." I go back to that question. If somebody were to say, "I can tell how much you love yourself by the partner you've chosen," is that a compliment or an insult? That's really the question I would be asking if somebody told me they were married for X amount of years. And I believe in staying in a relationship, no matter it's romantic or not, if you're happy and healthy. Not because you're attached, you're afraid, you're conditioned, or you're surviving. If it costs you your peace, it is way too expensive. Trust me, there are way too many people out there who do not cost you your peace. And another thing I would like to talk about is how we heal in relationships. And I want to talk about this personally because I really felt like I was just better off single, that relationships were just complicated, and that I could just heal better if I was alone. What I've realized after being in this relationship for 10 years is that I personally, now I'm not going to speak for anybody, but I have healed so much quicker, so much faster, so much more efficiently because I don't believe we heal alone. I believe we heal in relationships that give our nervous systems new information, like consistency, emotional presence, and stability. We don't heal alone and then enter relationships fully ready. When you're single, you feel healed because nothing triggers you, right? You're not in relationships that will trigger you. You choose your friends, you choose your job. Relationships like intimate relationships that you share the same bed, the same life, they are going to bring up the fear of abandonment, the fear of loss, the fear of not being good enough. I mean, my shadow side has really come out, and the shadow parts of you are the things that are unsavory. It doesn't mean you're broken. We all have a shadow side. The more I've gotten so comfortable with that shadow side, the more intimate and deep my connection has been with my husband because I have allowed him to see my anger, my infidelity. I cheated on him. I let him see my jealousy. I let him see how I was so scared to lose money and spend money. I had such a scarcity mindset. I had so many fears of not being good enough, not being smart enough, not making enough money, feeling too sensitive, crying, feeling like I'm so boring, feeling like I'm still a child. Like I allowed him to see these parts of me and not only see them, but if he responded in ways that were not emotionally safe, I didn't want to be with somebody who, when I showed him these shadow sides, reacted in ways that were not safe. That's where the real work happened. Marriage forced me to emotionally mature, and that was uncomfortable. I had to learn to love these shadow parts of myself, not because he loved them, but because I had to love them, but they were not brought out when I was in other relationships. And so, in closing, this isn't about staying forever. It's about staying awake, being present, being regulated, being honest. And if you're no longer healthy, that's not failure. That's maturity, realizing where you've outgrown spaces. Thanks again for listening to the Honest Healing Podcast. If you want to read my memoir, Trust the Flames, My Wild Ride from Mindlessness to Mindfulness, check out my book anywhere they sell books. Obviously, Amazon is always the quickest and the cheapest. I am going to be starting a group coaching program for 2026, all about helping you build inner self confidence to help you speak up for yourself, especially when it is scary, and how to build this inner knowing of being super clear and confident in who you are, what you want, and what you don't want. Because I truly believe that that inner self confidence trickles into every relationship of your life. In the meantime, before I get that program up, if you are open or want to know more about my one-to-one coaching, you can jump on my website, katiedelamont.com. You can book in a free discovery call. It's completely free. We just chat about me, chat about you, what's going on, if I can help. And I do 4 sessions or 12 sessions, up to you. Till next time, bye.